Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. The title of today's program is Muscle Memory or Strategic Muscle Memory. When I was younger and I used to lift a lot of weights, I started noticing certain patterns. Number one, that the first time I went out on the yard, and I think it was 300 pounds on the bar. Now, I wasn't in no good. The iron was welded because they didn't have, they didn't want people throwing it around. So the first time I got under 300 pounds, now I'm just walking out on the yard, got my homeboys with me, and I got under 300 pounds and it felt exactly like a train. Whatever you visualize a train, that's what it felt. It felt exactly like a train. I mean, you're laying down there with a train under you. Now, remember, so imagine you can't do, but like the average human being, maybe a couple hundred pounds at the most, and probably 100 and something pounds, just a normal human being. So I got under that iron, and it felt like a train. 300 pounds. And later on, they have the 300 club, then they started the 400 club, and then almost the 500 club. The 300 club was, which I was in, and I left when they started getting way up there. You had to drop the weights down on your chest and count to 2, and they clap, then you push it up. If you can push it up, you get the chance to join the 300 club, and you go behind a fence. There's a special yard over there, and you go by. It's like you got a little club card, and everybody wanted to get in the 300 club. And so we was the first ones I was so happy when I got in there. It was just nice. It was just something special. But you learn, you have good workout partners, and you learn, great techniques. In those days, the biggest people was not out in the street. Of course, they had Leroy Colburn that was at the Gold's Gym here in New York. Of course, it's 50-something years ago I'm talking about. And he was the first one to get 20-inch arms. Now they got 25s, and they got arms. It's just, you see these arms? The people, I'm not going against it, but they're so big I don't like it. I don't believe you should, you look abnormal. It's just not necessary. The size and the detail, I can imagine how they get addicted and they get hooked up, and then they got to get so much size, so much definition because they got to win the prize. And, and if you got Sergio Oliva, which I believe that boy was bad. Anybody remember Sergio Oliva? He was good size and perfectly built. Of course, being black, I figured that they stole the title and gave it to Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's no big deal. No big deal. And Arnold become a big movie star and then governor. Sergio Oliva, on the other hand, down there and making Spanish movies, he made Spanish movies and all that. This is back in 1972, something like that, 71, 72, when he became. Anyway, muscle memory is that example, if it takes you, say, 4 years of hard working out, doing all the special exercises, let's say to get 19-inch arms or something like that, and a 52-inch chest or something like that, right? And then you stop doing it, or you have to run around, whatever it is, and then you shrink back to normal size, because that's where you hit it. Okay, now if it took you 4 years to get that big, if you get your right workout program, you can get back there in 3 months. 3 months. And now I remember because in 68, 69, I went out to Santa Rita, this county jail like thing, there planting stuff. And they used to tell you, now all these pimps here, what kind of hoe you want? You want a long handle hoe or a short handle hoe? And they're making fun of the brothers. The long handle hoe, or one where you got to bend down and say, all you pimps, which one of these hoes do you want? You want a short handle hoe or a long handle hoe? Anyway, it was very amusing. And it was different than the county jails they got now. You just sit up in the county jail and, then it was better. You run around. You out on the county farm. Now you growing lettuce and everything for the people in the other jail system. But at least you out on the farm, which everybody was used to. And this comes from the days of doing useful work if you're in jail. They had this is still the days of chain gangs and all that. They didn't believe in you sitting up in the penitentiary. They used to, what they said, we're going to send you to 5 years at hard labor. And that was in their mind. They couldn't imagine, you think you're going to sit up in the penitentiary? You have to and read books and stuff, and not in our penitentiary. It was not only in the South, but they had it more. You just be in the penitentiary up north, but definitely in the South, down this way, and out that way, they believed in work. And so that's what they still had in their mind. You sentenced to 1 year at hard labor, and if you do your hard labor, you'll get 2 months off, 3 months, or something like that. 8 months you'll wind up doing if you do hard labor. But anyway, muscle memory. Muscle memory is if it takes you, let's say, 4 years to get really sculptured body that you like. If you go out on the street and start drinking wine, shooting dope, and you get all poorly and you go back to jail, eating those regular, that used to be not good food, but it wasn't bad like they got it now. They had regular kitchens and stuff like that. Anyway, if it took you 4 years or something to get that nice sculptured body, and then you went out on the street and ruined it, which 90% of the people did, 95, you could get back there in, let's say, 4 months. When you went back to the joint, you got back in little or no time. I'm sure you're very familiar with that concept of muscle memory, because if you get out of shape, if you've been running so many miles, you've been running 10 miles, okay, you get busy, and you can get back to that 10-mile run almost in a month's time. Yeah, you could. If you really needed to, you could get back there in a month's time, from standing flat-footed, just get back to your routine. Let's say it took you years to get to run 10 miles and you get back there in a little while. That's muscle memory. Your muscles have memory. You know what I mean? Your body has a memory, and if we really learned it well, because a lot of us went to jail. Now, everybody in California, the kids wanted to go. That's when they had weights in prison. They took the weights out because 20 years ago, 25 years ago, because they thought it's like a country club. I don't know if you remember. They took all the weights out of the penitentiary because now all the rich people go into the gym. And they said, we're not having no gyms in the penitentiary where they can go and sculpture their body. Then they wanted to give you something to do. And so everybody, man, the people was big. Now, I don't want to change the subject, but the Negro, one thing I realized about the Negro, he worked mostly on his upper body. White boys worked on their whole body. The first weightlifting contest we had when I was in the joint, they had powerlifting, and they had the other Olympic lifting, snatch, clean, and jerk, and what have you. Okay, so we did the powerlift thing. So the Negroes come out on the bench. Boy, they knocked the white boys out of the box. Then the other two lifts, deadlift and squat. The Negroes had these big, beautiful bodies up top, and when you saw them in the shower, you'd start crying because they had little bitty bony legs. They never, in those days, never worked on legs. And the deadlift and the squat is where you add up points. Man, them white boys, they put all that, so they gonna stop stacking that iron on. And they doing them deadlifts, and they'd had a bar bent like this, the Olympic bar, and they would knock us out of the box on the collective points. When the show started, the bench press, woo, them niggas would be, when they hit that thing and the niggas, whop, they would be just off and running. But when they did that squat and they'd have stacking that iron on, and you got, which are the big lifts. Deadlifts is where you start, you can't do nothing with a bench press. You're going to do out, if you go out a couple 100 pounds ahead, which is rare, you ain't did nothing. But on deadlifts, the Negroes was squatting with 200 pounds and 300 pounds. And I remember a little white boy at the DB, the disciplinary barracks, this is when I was at Leavenworth years later. There was a little white boy, he was a little flyweight. Man, he got under that. He was in the disciplinary barracks, and we're in the federal penitentiary. Disciplinary barracks mean the crazy guys in the army that they was crazy. There's a difference between the federal penitentiary, where it was big time criminals, and the disciplinary barracks, which wasn't part of it. It was a different penitentiary. The DB, the disciplinary barracks, is a penitentiary for soldiers. And this little old white boy, he was this big, and he got up under, I remember it was 430-something pounds. I looked at that little old cracker. I said, see y'all later. He was a flyweight. He was that big. But that's what they do. You know what I mean? So muscle have memories. It taught us certain things about being balanced. Later on, we started doing, as soon as we finished that contest there, the Negro was out doing deadlifts, squats, because we had got knocked out of the box. Now, we caught up with him, because the Negro, he got it going on. If he do it, we didn't do it. Now, back to muscle memory. Muscle memory is technically, as a group, as a movement, as an organization, we're into muscle memory. Okay, that means that we got so big of our organization. Okay, now, so if we had 10 Masjid now and we're down to 2 here and in Oakland, and Allah knows best what's going on out there. We go out there, we're going to do whatever it is to do. It ain't no problem. But as we rejuvenate here, we will be back to where we was within a year's time. All of this stuff that's falling down, everything like that. Muscle memory, movement memory. See, we did it on purpose. We remember muscle memory, just like we remember movement memory. This is not the first time. We went through this several times before in the movement, where we on a roll, then we cool back. And each time we know where we are, and we know what we're doing. When the brother was living at 4481, and he was in charge of security and making sure everybody was in shape, and everybody was telling me, man, gotta do something about homeboy. I said, no, don't worry about it. The only thing he was in shape in, if he would ever lay down, his stomach would still be up like this. And he'd come out there, we'd be working out. Yeah, I'll be right back. Come on. He was in charge of security. And people was wondering, well, if he's in charge of security, why is he not coordinating all of this so we're secure? Because who cared about it? Everybody was the police. They can't secure. You can't secure yourself against the police unless the police is working right along with you. So we want to keep the police happy and their friends. What's his name used to ride the bicycle up around here and used to come in here and eat up all the food. All of the food. That was what's the name's best friend. And we knew what we was doing because we knew that stuff to us come from at UC Berkeley. It was a clown out there, in the plaza, and he stretched all the time. He had a mask on, leotards, and he did all that stuff. And so some of the brothers at UC Berkeley, it was Iranians. Now, whatever demonstration you have, he would be there doing all that stuff. And they say, in our study of psychology, either you get better when you have a problem or you get worse. He's been out there 10 years and he never changed. I said, that's right. He's the police. The best way to keep an eye on everybody on that Sproul Hall Plaza is have a clown out there. He's stretching, he's doing this, everybody get used to him. So everybody's sitting there talking about their business, he can hear them, and he's watching who's who. I bet you when he go in and they have all the camera work, he said, this is so-and-so, that's so-and-so, and it's normal. That's what they do. That's what the government does. They always have something. Okay, so we learn a lot of things. So why shouldn't they play games with us? Why shouldn't we make the head of security a known police officer? Just a known police officer. They want us to go to court with him. I said, we're not going to court. And then I watched who went down there. Old slick Negro, Hafiz, all the tattletales. There's a picture in the news. I said, I'm not going down there, and it had us all in the paper. I said, there ain't none of our homeboy. Anyway, muscles have memory. Movement also has a memory. To be brief on what we're talking about is, right now, we have went through a process with the system. The system knows us and we know them. So pretty well, they're pretty up on what we've been doing. After all, they sit there and they dig all information, and they're going to be pretty accurate on who you are, your behavior patterns. They're going to go over and they're going to say, and whatever you have done, you're going to mention some of that stuff, you know, and it has an effect on their analysis. So you know what to mention so they can pick up, you know. Now remember, when you're in a close fight, you in a there the guy is and there you are. You know what I mean? So it's a close fight. I mean, you know, this is like you gotta be. You can use a few tricks of the trade, but you're gonna have to be a better puncher, better dodger. You're gonna have to have the wind behind you sometime when you getting under and the blows that you miss, they're not gonna miss you by 100 miles. They're gonna zoop, go right by. Or you can be hit with a punch and you're fast enough and you go with the punch and come under and come back. You can remember when George Foreman, one of my best friends, brought him back as a trainer. He used to be middleweight. And George was just too old and too slow to miss them punches. He could see it coming, but he couldn't get out of the way. It's too late. But he could put enough pressure on it. He did a good job. He'd to come back at 47 or something like that. He didn't do bad at all. He didn't do bad at all. But still, he see the punch coming. Here it comes. And so finally, he just got on. He said, oh, no, I done did good. I got my brain still in shape. You know what I mean? I done did all right. He thanked his trainer, which is one of my best friends. He's a big dog dealer. Well, a dog, what they call it. We was all from Oakland. You know, George Foreman, he came by my house back in the 60s, late 60s. He was with my trainer then. But my trainer was not his trainer was not his trainer then. They was somewhere. They were there. Let's get back to the point. So, well, George went to Parks Air Force Base. Job Corps is where he started boxing in Job Corps. That's at Parks Air Force Base right near Oakland. You know, doing what they call that. They had a Job Corps. That's where he started boxing. And he got so good, he went to the Olympics. Okay. Back to muscle memory and movement memory. So to explain where we are right now, we're in a period of serious movement memory. Like wherever we have, we went nowhere down to where we had calculated that it's possible. We talked clearly, even in our writings, about the ability to sleep under a bridge. We're fully prepared. Like if the government pull out all the stops, he has the ability to take us back to where you ain't got nothing and nobody, and you're sleeping out there on the bridge. That's what boss man can do. And we're calculating, we're prepared for that. Psychologically, we're prepared for it. That's why we wrote it there. Be prepared, and be prepared to do it without, nobody likes me, none of that jive. You know, in fact, we almost wanted to get back there because it toughens you up. You know, when you got everybody looking at you like, yeah, it's all over for the champ, that makes you work hard. You don't say, oh, so you niggas think I'm done, huh? Okay, watch this. I mean, you train harder, you don't say it, but that's what's in your mind. Oh, you doubt, uh-huh. All right. So almost you can't lose because you're saying, yeah. And then somebody come by and they kind of grin. Oh, so you're grinning. You don't say nothing. So you grinning at the brother. You think the brother's finished. Oh, good for you. So that's fuel. You put that in the tank. And everything they do, you put it in the tank. Say, what? Oh, because see, you could stand it. You know what I mean? a lot of people can't stand to be laughed at. But that might be part of you can stand it. And I remember when it became clear. Uh, I don't want to go back into this, but it was when I was 17, and when you that age, you go back. When you go back to jail, you got to go back to a reception and guidance center. In those days, they had one down in Norwalk, what I went to when I was 12, and then they had one near Sacramento, Northern Reception Center. So you went there, you got all your shots when you're getting ready, you got your teeth fixed, and you got all that, because they can't have you out in the penitentiary or out of the forestry camp and your teeth is hurt. So in those days, they fixed, the only dentistry we ever got was when we went to the penitentiary. We got they would give you you just like joining the army, you go through, you go get all your shots, you go get they bring your health up, So anyway, I was there, I was 17. And by that time, you're pretty well formed. So we was doing something, and I was always kind of making fun of people, and everybody knew it. But it was innocent, like. So one day something happened, and the whole team was laughing at me. Now, this African-American counselor, the senior, and there's 60 of us there, and he watched that very closely, how I acted. So all I did was I just laughed like they laughing at me, I'm laughing at myself, we all laughing. And he said, this guy's got his head on straight. He can give it out, but he's not, he's not only he can take it, but it doesn't make a difference. It's just like, to him, he was looking, this guy is psychologically imbalanced. He don't, in other words, I'm not mad at them. I can go and make fun of other people. And then, you can't make fun of me, like the white man here in America. I can do anything I want to you, but you can't do nothing to me. You're nothing. You can't be mad. You can't get to friends and help you. You can't do nothing. You just take it. So when he looked at that, because on the report, he made out his report, so I went to camp. Instead of going to another jail, I went to forestry camp. And guess what I learned? I learned that I like the forest. I actually just like it. You know what I mean? I like the forest, and I like, it was forestry camp. You do a little firefighting, and at other times in the winter, you cut down trees, bug trees. You do all that stuff. I actually liked it. And I like to go in. Sometimes it would be a big clump of trees, and you go in there and you just sit down, have your lunch, and it's peaceful. You be learning stuff about you. I said, man, I don't go tell nobody. I really like this. They said, man, you never had it so good. You like the penitentiary? You like here in the jail where hard as they working us? And I was, yeah. You should see the pictures, the big smile on my face. The white man, I think, stole my pictures. I'm sure he did, because everybody else in those pictures is all frowned up, and I'm just got a big grin on my face and everything, Anyway, muscles have memory. Your makeup has memory. What we're going through right now, what we're dealing with right now, all the things that we kind of cruised with, it won't take, let's say within a year's time, we will be upgraded, remodeled, everything around here. This will be open, that will be open. Everything will be top flight. And we're saying in a year's time, but it probably will be sooner. In other words, if you look at the Masjid, you'll see patches in the floor down there where there's a piece missing. You'll see some of the stuff coming, right? Well, why we didn't do that? Because, hey, there's no sense working yourself to death when, right? When you got something else in mind, boss man will work you to death. No, we didn't had a long period of rest and recuperation and fun and readjustment, right? And studying and planning. New strategy for all of that. Why? Because we've been through this before. In physical fitness, in the gangster world, you get up so big, and if you're coming back, you come back and you keep going right past that. So the first stages of our recovery will be what we're doing now. And we're warming up. Like, it ain't no big hurry. For instance, like we went out the other day, right? Okay. And so next week, we'll have 2 teams go out. We probably won't do no Juma here. Why? There's no sense doing Juma here. But we'll have 2 teams, right? You can have 1 team and y'all go out. But this time, we'll have boxes. We'll have boxes and we'll raise funds wherever we go. And then we'll have 1 more week after that. We'll have boxes then, right? And we'll have our program on January the 2nd, which is a Sunday. We'll have nice dinner. We'll have turkey. We won't, since we're not having it, we'll take the turkeys we got. We'll prepare those turkeys, mashed potatoes, whatever, gravy, that stuff. And we'll have a nice dinner here. Whoever comes, that's fine. We're going to prepare it. If they don't come and eat it up, well, we'll have it. We'll have a special meeting, and everybody can come with their plates. They're not to worry; the food gonna get ate up. The believers will make sure that everything is taken care of. You don't have to worry about the pans down there being empty. Being full too long. The believers. So that means that the food must be semi-good here. It has to be halfway all right. It has to be halfway all right, So we'll have that. So January the 2nd is when we will have our program here, which will be 2 Sundays. Will that be 2 Sundays from now? It probably will. It'll probably be 2 Sundays from now. In the meantime, there's a few things that we want to do. Like we'll have a few. We're going to have maybe at least one more DVD that probably what we can do is we could come tomorrow and do the other DVD. And we'll do another flyer that will be an upgrade. The flyers we have now is fine, but we want to do, we got a way of doing things. First thing is just get busy and start doing. So the flyer we got now is not the permanent flyer and the other stuff, but just get going. Just like yesterday, we said by habit, we'll go on to the program. Now, we went over to the program, but I said don't bring the speaker stuff. I just had a feeling, number one, it don't look like that's what's happening. We just went over, laughed and talked, and then came on. But we went. See, the thing is that you make sure that you do, kind of what you laid out to do. But I got there. I ain't going to mention the names, just a few people. And, come on by. Da-da-da-da-da. And it might be true. So we'll find out. We'll be over there in a hot minute, to find out how happy they was to see us. Yeah. In fact, that's where we'll be going, the first joint next week. Yeah, we'll go by, see how they, you love us? Good, we'll be by. And see what you got talking about, I'm not going to get into, they made several promises to do certain things and they didn't. And those are people that are older. They know better, but they're mean guys. Their boss is out that way somewhere in Virginia, and they're not bad. But their bosses caught an organization there and they tell them to do stuff and they do it. That's why I was hitting the one. Don't let nobody steal your akara from you. Don't let nobody take your akara. That's your akara. Them niggas they are out there, whether they from Sudan, where they from, they blow your whole future. And a future is a long time, like forever. I know we can't conceive of from now to forever. Now imagine what we do in this little gift time we got here, all the way up there, all the way, never ending. Hey man, that's a pretty good bargain. Just do a little bit of right here and there, trust in Allah's forgiveness, and forever you're going to be all right. They said, you can't prove that's true. I said, I'm not taking no chances. You do what you want to do. I ain't taking no chances. I think it's fine with me. I got enough internal messages around, and I'm going for it. Now, you do what you want. You go and puff on your pipe or turn flips. I don't care what you do. I ain't taking no chances. You know what I mean? Suppose it's true. If it's not true, and we just die and go to hell, if it is true, you do a lot of good for everybody, right? And you die, and that's it. But you did good for everybody. That's not bad. That's not bad. And you got everything you wanted, and you shared everything with everybody else. So it's like right now. Everybody else wants wealth. I sleep on the floor right down there, because I had all the wealth. I already know what it is. Right? I knew what it was, I know what it is, and I know that I like sleeping on the floor better than one of them big soft beds. I already know that because I started doing that when I was in South America before I even really switched to full Islam. Why? Because Allah allowed me to have so much material, and everywhere I go, I had to pack up that material and drag it along with me. And I'm just, all them suits, all them shoes, all them hats, everything. I had to pack them up every time I go somewhere. And put them on the plane, and I had to pay extra money to take them with me. When I came back over here, January 1st, 1972, I didn't have nothing but one of them little small bags like that. And that's been my style ever since. Hey, and talking about happy, that's happiness. Okay, people can tell me what they want. I said, that's good, that's great. I already know what's happening. Muscle memory in movement. Look around at what we have. One thing, the first thing you notice when you go at different places, it was one of the old Negroes was talking to Brother Tarek when I went around to the back and came back. This old coon, him and the medical crew, I don't know if you remember, they lived over by where 450, and you turn right there at 67. I'll tell you who it was. You remember the Panamanian crew? Sharifa and them, or whatever they was, and all them black-looking people? Well, and then they had the doctor-like guy with them. So I asked, where's it? Oh, he's got I say, he retired yet? Now this guy, and other one that was that other day, when things start acting a little funny, all of a sudden these guys been sitting here all these time, and then they flip Salafi back in the early 90s. I said, dog, that's deep. And then, of course, I mean, I'm not saying I knew all the time, but you do know that everybody that get with you, they going to have something with them. Anyway, so the doctor, I used to go to ISNA every year. This must have been 90 or 91. So he said, oh, you don't have the right kind of car to go on that long trip. It was going to be in Ohio. So you could use my car. I said, that's great. So I loaded the car up with books. You remember I used to pack that stuff up? You'd think I was moving to Mars. And they didn't know how I got all of that stuff in those cars and station wagons. Well, when you would look at my booth, you would think that I had a big U-Haul truck full of stuff, and I just knew how to put it in the car. And then back up on A Street, you know, being young, man, I'd take a 60-pound box of books, run downstairs, run upstairs, and when it's time to load up, I could take them same books, run up them stairs. Right now, I just look at them, I say, I ain't going up there. You know, what if the water's on? I don't care. I ain't going them stairs. And now I know how other people feel. But anyway, the point is this, is that I was on, you know, they got lorry caverns out there. Lorry caverns, I think. And you go on Route 50, you can go all the way out there. And so instead of going up to I-70 and going across to Ohio, I said the Route 50 was a few blocks away from where I was out there in Manassas. Technically, it wasn't Manassas. I think it was. But anyway, so I jumped on the road, got up early that morning, still dark, had a cup of coffee, top shape, and hit the road. And then Route 50, though, do a lot of turns and this, that, and another. And the way I figure it is, the CIA had put so many turns on the car. You know, you turn this way, you turn that way, you turn that way, and they had it set up for Route 7, I-70, going to Ohio. And set up for I-70 because I never said I was going to go Route 50. I never even thought about it. I just made a decision, hey, I'll go Route 50. And then I'll catch 70 up there somewhere, or way out there. Instead of driving around and catching I-70, I go now. So, zoop, all them turns. And so all them turns, you're definitely not going to go to sleep. Because everywhere you go, it's a little turn up there, another little turn. So you're not going to go to sleep, especially you just got up, fresh as a daisy and tip-top shape, and then had coffee, and coffee just had you just. So all of a sudden, I felt the right wheels. It happened so fast, and that I was off the road. Then when I was off the road, you know, where they have them down drains, that thing was 6 feet deep and it was covered with grass. So it was pitch black right there. So I walked down there and I stepped in that. And when you hit the bottom, you could tell that boy is broke. You know where you could tell whether it's a spring. You say, oh, that boy. So I went to the hospital. But anyway, when I told the brother, that's the doctor right now, and I mentioned it when I was over there the other day. I mentioned. I picked it up when you said it. Yeah, I mentioned that. So, yeah. This brother's dangerous. No, I mentioned that so you would hear that I'm mentioning these things because, see, everybody come around here got a history. So I'm just pointing out the history. I said, yeah, and they both came and picked me up. When they came and picked me up in West Virginia, I said to the brother, I said, yeah, something. He was talking about insurance. I said, yeah, something happened with that right front wheel that just took me off the road right away. He said, don't tell nobody that. I said, okay, I won't tell him, but why not? That's when I knew. Well, I mean, you could know all the people from Panama, in the Army, funny acting, you know what I mean? And then coming from, I expected certain things to happen when I got here, and everything happened like expectation. But the point I'm making is, we expected things to happen, but we didn't expect boss man to zip us off the highway and have us turn over. If we was on I-70 going that fast and that right wheel clicked, because remember, the way we figured it's clicked up, okay? Once you make this many turns, that many turns, and they didn't calculate it, he'll be out on the open highway. And as soon as he make that, whop, and the wheel might lock and flip them board with all that kind of stuff. Flip him over. We'll get rid of the brother. So I went the other way. And it ain't nothing but turns. Turns, click, boom. Anyway, that's what I thought. I thought it that very day. And I knew something was up because when I got in the police came and he took me to the hospital. And so I said, well, what happened right there? He said, oh, you went to sleep. I said, sleep my behind. This is what he's saying. He said, see that mark there? I said, I sure do. That a nigga, one thing a nigga wasn't, was sleep. Whatever happened, it happened. It was a split second, and there I was. So I knew he was in on it. They took me to the hospital, and you could see I got a knot on my leg. They didn't fix my leg, my thing right. You know the way the tibia goes down, whatever, and it's now the way they fix it, the crackers, it's sealed to it's okay, no problem. No problema. Yeah. So, anyway, I wanted to come to D.C., and get, so they got DC a ride, boy, look at here. No, look, I'm doing what I wanted, I'm doing what I want to do. I want to do this. Now, nobody else even if they hear 2% of what happens, oh, good God Almighty. I said, but this is exciting. No, nigga don't need that much excitement. And all they could see is poverty and this and that. And it's a blessing. It's a big blessing. And everything that they would hold against you is harmful. Okay. My two sons, when they was younger, they'd be with me. Like you probably heard them on the phone. They would look. They say, yeah, Dad, such and such and such, such and such and such. Well, after 10 or 15 years, the police done got to them. And they didn't let them know, and they said, see, your dad, he won't live like you want. Y'all want him to sell dope and have big cars, and he don't want to do that. He want you to go all across the country riding in the car, raising money that he don't spend on y'all. He spend it on other stuff. And because they tell them that they be talking to them and they relate now don't tell your father that we said this. Yeah, now then when they accept certain things, then that means that they don't, I put it like this, to make it brief, each one of them showed me their photo album, and all their friends are dead. That's when it clicked. Because see, like say in 86, when I make up my mind to do this stuff, they just really gonna boost in on them. And and guess what? I gave khutbah some years ago, and I said that, and I told them, I say, Allah saved your life. I said, the white man sent y'all to prison, all your friends, you don't have anybody alive on your picture albums. Neither one of them. But y'all. I said, a white man, it's just like taking a young guy 25 years ago, 25, 30 years ago out of this D.C. and send him away. And at that time, rest in peace was everywhere you looked around here, right? That's the way it was in Oakland. They didn't destroy my son's life. They saved their life because they put him in prison. And they're the only ones on their photo albums. Nobody, I'm telling you, nobody is alive but them. And then I realized that their lifestyle and everything, they would wear them big T-shirts and throw them down. I'd go by and pick them up and wash them and wear them. That's where I got my clothes from them. Everything I had in those days, they'd buy it, all them expensive shirts and throw them away. They would wear them once. Shoot, I'd come back, put them boys in the machine. Shoot, and then my son, he had one of them mob cars. It was one of them four-door Caprices that they was driving in them days, And he had that rim license plate. It had the one that dies with the most toys wins. I said, this nigga need to go to the pen. Because he don't understand nothing. Right? He was fully, if he was left alone and the way he lived, either one of them, if they were left alone, if their own devices, the numbers, it's possible that they would still be here, but the numbers don't line up like that, right? The associations don't line up like that. My son, the oldest one, he said, Dad, I was up on the porch talking to his homeboys at their spot. And another crew came by. He said, yeah, let me holler at you, man. He came down off the porch. This is another group of friends. And they sprayed all them Negroes on the porch. Now, that's one group of friends. And I told him, I said, and you didn't get that wasn't no sign or nothing. That they sprayed the porch. That somebody in that game was close enough to you to jeopardize himself. To say, hey, man, let me holler at you a minute. And then the other niggas spray the porch and that don't have no effect. No, I said, nigga, you just slow. I said, just go on about your business. I said, I never did call either one of y'all names like stupid or slow because of the Pygmalion effect. I said, but there's something missing. If that don't give you no, like a little sign. Maybe this life I'm living, hey, maybe that was something, let me know that this ain't. And maybe I'll go. Now, I used to listen to them signs. After 3 or 4, I would listen real loud. And I got down to where 1 or 2 would be enough. And I looked around and I found out nobody else was paying attention to all them signs in their life. All the stuff that was happening, they just keep on driving. Slow, dangerous curve, don't go too fast, you'll tilt over. shoot, cliff, they just, and that really happened in life, that they don't do it now. They just don't do it. But anyway, muscle memory, that's what we want to talk about. Psychological muscle memory, all kind of, your body, your mind have things that it go through that if you go through it over a long period of time, if you go through it again, the period is very short. Period is very short. Like building muscles, if you got a 20-inch arm and you lay off for a year or two, it takes you a few months, because that happened to me when I went to the county and it was out on the farm for 3 months maximum. Man, I got so big, it was unbelievable, because that's what I was doing out there, just working that iron, doing them pulls, you know what I mean? Got all that iron on that, 400 pounds. One pull, that mean they pulled a quarter, that mean down to 350. 1, 2, pull, down to 300. I mean, and you working like that, you get seriously strong. Well, I went out there, and when I came home from the county, I was bigger than I was when I came from home from the penitentiary. Muscle memory. Your muscles have memory, And it used to happen all the time. If you're busy running around the country and, like you're running in the hills, maybe it don't take you but 3 or 4 days to get back where you was, or a week maximum to get back where you was really, because when I used to be driving on the highway, I would see them trails and fences and them animal trails where the cattle would be, and I would look at them, I said, man, I sure, everyone I saw, I would want to run that, you know what I mean? And so anyway, sometime when you're traveling, you don't get time to do what you want to do. You got to place. But when you get back, your body remembers where it's already been. It's like you don't even have to, all you got to do is put it out and let it loose, and it'll go back to where it feels comfortable. And then it'll go beyond that. Okay, so muscle memory, also let's think about movement memory. And I mention this to not talk about muscles, but talk about movement. Because we're in a different stage. And in this stage, we call stage 1, within so many months, we'll be fully at stage 1. It'll be a full-fledged Imam Tufail Strategic Management Center, all that right next door. That's what it's going to be. It'll have full carpet. It'll have all the gadgets that we need, you know what I mean, for modern times. Yeah, it'll be right there. And a sub-center will be right in there, getting that together right now, and everything else that we need. We'll have it nice if somebody comes out of town, they can stay up there. They can do it. We got it all. It's all planned. You know what I mean? And it won't be no time to get there. And the masjid and everything, it won't take no time to do it because we've already been there before. So it's not only muscle memory, but movement memory. The thing for us to prepare for is movement memory. Who's going to be coming, where they coming from, who sent them, and how to relax and enjoy the thing. Okay, what is boss man going to do? He's going to do what he always did. How to relax, how to enjoy all the people, how to not, I know that nigga's the police. I know, so what? They've been the police all the time, and look where them dummies are. Look where they are. I mean, realistically, look where they are and look where we are. I would rather be where we are than where they are. The system, how could a system grow in ignorance? Everything that they could do right now to fix what they're doing, they refuse to do it and don't want you to do anything about it. They don't want you to fix it. So I said, man, these is when they talk about the people of the past and I said, these are, man, they make Pharaoh and them look like kitty pies. You know, Pharaoh is a fool, but these guys here have more data and more information than Pharaoh did. So they're outdoing Pharaoh in ignorance. They got artificial intelligence foolishness. They know how much salt is in the water in the ocean and how much plastic is out there and how long it would take to get rid of it. They want you, they'll go build more ships to kill people than to use all them ships to pull big barges with whole type of living spaces and gardens and clean up. They could have a whole train full of stuff pulling them big aircraft carriers, right? And one, it cleans up all the stuff and put it up on the thing. And then you could have 5 or 6 living quarters or 2 living quarters. You can go out there on the ocean with a park. You can put a park on them big barges. That aircraft carrier, pull it, right? A big park, trees, everything out on the ocean. So people will be out there so many months or whatever. They got all that is right there on this big 100 bar, go all the way down there and way down there, and they just pull it with the aircraft carrier. They won't do it. They clean up the ocean, pack it up, put it over on this one. You could have a running track out on the ocean, right? You could do all of that, and you run down there. It's got nice trees out on the ocean. Movie theaters, everything. Out on those big barges, you can walk one barge. This is the lunchroom bar, and it'd be so far away you have to walk down to it, right? No escalator right? So you get exercise no matter what. If you walk for a mile down that way through these other things, you didn't fix it up. Now they have a little snack thing on everything, but if you want to eat a real dinner, you got to walk down there. You know, so automatic exercise, and you're walking through trees and everything out on the ocean. Why? Because you can do that. They won't do nothing. They won't do nothing. They won't do nothing. Okay. So where does that put us? We want to fix things. That puts us on the bad side. That puts us in a boss man that don't want this fixed. And you want to fix it? We're teaching hate and you're teaching love? Oh, good God Almighty. Right? We're on the opposite end of everything that they are. Therefore, we expect, just like what we got now, expectations. We said when we came here 25, 30 years ago, man, it's been a while. But it don't seem like a long time ago. We expected if we last 5 years here, boy, we're going to be on a roll. We said we're going to get the whole game. You know, that means you're going to learn all of what you need to learn during that period to do whatever it is you got to do. Well, we not only lasted 5 years, we lasted on and on and on and on. And it's all been an educational experience. So we're in charge of ourselves. If you'd have been there the day before yesterday, you'd have saw them Negroes pulled up. You would have recognized every one of them. And some of them was looking at me like, this nigga is still active. This is the energy bunny. This nigga, you know, clang, 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 you know. And I be wanting to tell them, no, it's not the energy bunny. We the energy Negro. We ain't not. If you thought we was gone, we was just taking it easy for a while, rest and recuperation. And ain't nobody gonna, hey man, we back. And they was looking, and then Negrocious come over and he's talking to you. So I already assessed to what he sent to da 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 da. And I mean, see, because I know them and they got this stuff planned. And they're going to feel around. They're going to look. I don't care. They're going to feel around.
He was hovering for a good 15 minutes before I said something to him. He was kind of hovering around. And, I just started up a conversation with him because I didn't want to, I was starting to get uncomfortable. Someone was hovering around me.
No. Here's the thing. Don't. First of all, you got to have confidence in what you're doing. First of all, what we're doing, have nobody ever done anything like this before. Nobody. Nor did they have time. No, we did what King was working on 50 years ago. The same time he was working on it, we was pulling it off in California, right? But it wasn't a time for that to work. It wasn't a time for the Negro to have big employment and for him to control his own neighborhood. Boss Man had another plan. At that time, Boss Man's plan was still in effect. Boss Man his stuff was still working. Okay, now it ain't working. Look, it don't make no difference. They could talk all day till their mouth turn white. Boss Man stuff is not working. Ours is. And we have the characteristics of hilarity. There's no meanness, there's no hatred, there's no spite. Whether Boss Man understands it or not, or whether he cares, it doesn't make any difference. We know that we're not going to do anything based on hate because hate is not that ain't. We already seen what that does. We had a little taste of it ourselves just to see. Because when Boss Man harass you for a while, you get a little mad for a couple of months. And then you say, I looked at a picture once. I said, that nigga there. I looked at that face. I said, that ain't me. Of course it was physically. And I realized right then, I said, I'm getting out of this. That ain't me. What's the sense of living a life? And you look at that nigga there all, you know. And the white man said, what is it you gain the world and lose your soul? What if you some other that nigga there? I ain't with that. Hey man, that's the biggest. You don't get stuff no bigger than that. To realize what your character is, and then you say, well, I'm gonna deal with that. I like that. Other people always got something they gotta get to, some place they gotta go, or something. They ain't never satisfied with nothing. They always, or if they satisfied, like people work in the post office, they hold them there until they got 2 more months to live, and it's like they got it on a measure. I was talking to Brother Tufel about it. Like he had a brother that was. He said his brother did such, and he got. As soon as he was up in his 80s, he said, "Well, okay, I'll now take my 85% or something or another, and you die the next year." The Boss Man is mean. Boss Man, look, I don't care that boy got sitting there at the computer. He got all the numbers, and whatever hey man, he gonna hold on to you till there ain't nothing else left. As soon as you get out of what he done set up for you to get into, you gonna collapse. In 2 weeks, 2 years, I think some of them make it 5 or 10 years. They don't go nowhere. They've been on the plantation so long, they drive down to this end of the plantation and drive back. Boy, one of them nice Cadillacs, they got, the older people, they like them Cadillacs with Vogue tires. Old time Negroes, and they don't go nowhere. They don't, and I look at people, I said, you ain't never been to Japan? Japan? How about Mexico? Mexico? No Mexicans in Mexico. I said, so I look at people, I said, have you ever been to Niagara Falls? Niagara Falls, all that water run over nigga, drown him. I ain't going to. I said, so ain't no sense of me asking you about Musa Tunji, over there, the Great Falls. Have you ever seen the Nile? No. That's a river, ain't it? I said, yeah, it's a river, What about Machu Picchu? The hidden lost city of the Incas? The Negro ain't been nowhere. He go to a barbecue. I said, we at barbecue, man. Then we down there, my mama down in Carolina. Another nigga in Virginia. And then I said, that's a big scope. That's a big scope. And then you realize why don't nobody know nothing. Not only they don't know their own environment, they definitely don't know anything about the world. That's why it's so easy to fool Americans. That's why all those people, remember we down there, Black Lives Matter and all that? And the people were just like in a corral. They were just listening to whatever boss man said. And we there tell them, now here's a teacher and here's y'all can get you. And what nobody coming from over there to come and said, that sounds like really something. Didn't nobody care nothing about the government, but the government, right? When the government drive by us, salam alaikum, the government stopped us on the street. Didn't nobody care but the government. And then a dumb Latino was talking about nobody stole Mexico, and then somebody gave him a flash like, stupid, leave. So one of the white folks must have sent him a signal, you got to get out of here. So he got quiet and left. Because what he was saying was totally insanity. I think I said, you ever heard of San Jose, San Francisco, something like that? I might have said to him, like, where the hell they come from? But anyway, so we're in a nice state right now. So I'll close by reading a few things about strategy. This is from 2007. There's nothing more difficult to carry out, nor more doubtful of success, nor more dangerous to handle than to initiate a new order of things. Despite this fact, Islamic workers must dream big and see opportunities where others see failures. It seems that for the person who does not daily dream a while, their star will grow dark, that star by which all our work and everyday existence is guided. So let's talking about strategy. This first, just a little outline of introduction to the. So strategy is dangerous. That's what it is. It's dangerous. Strategy is difficult, and strategy is doubtful. The kind of strategy we're talking about. And remember, we're dealing with a strategy that nobody wants, nobody cares, and to hell with you. We don't want that. Please don't come by here with a strategy to make the world better. It's not going to get any better. The air's not going to get any cleaner. And you're not going to get any richer. And everybody's going to get poorer. We pray that we can get with the ones that are not absolutely poor. We want to be on boss man's side. Because if we're there close and we get lucky, we won't be absolutely poor. You, your people, them they're going to be absolutely poor, right? They're going to have it. You think, can you imagine this is America the Great? Have you saw in the videos about California, especially about Oakland, LA? Good God Almighty. That's America, man.
I stopped back home in Richmond just for like a hot minute, just to see my mama and stuff, and they talking about that back home in my city because of they have so many vacant houses, and people are just having a hard time finding a place to live and stuff. And these are like certified workers, people with degrees and stuff, and they have vacant houses and all this homelessness. It is insane. It's everywhere.
And they talking about China. China then brought people out of the poorhouse. 40 years ago, China was the poorhouse. Like the kids, they don't know, they used to have a place in America, it's called the poorhouse. And you seen Miss So-and-so, she's in the poorhouse. That was a little place in Oakland, down in the Oakland house. It was called Little Sister's House of the Poor. And I used to brag to Negroes, nigga, you get to mess with me, I'm taking you down to the poorhouse and drop your behind off that. Just talking trash, having a good time. It's really called Little Sister's House of the Poor, you know. And so now they got other names for them, but they mean the same. Can you, huh? The unhoused. Oh my goodness. They talk about the depression. The depression. Depression was happy land compared. Can you imagine America talking all of that talk to the world with all of these people? This is like, and see, everybody knows that if you have a home, you have a regular place, they know how it helps your self-esteem. Now imagine all these people out there, and some of them are degreed. They got PhDs out there. And they got a whole line. If they said master's degrees line up in this line, what's the other associates line up? Guess what? The lines would be full. It would only be a few winos, a few dope fiends. Well, the dope fiends, they got degrees. The dope fiends, the wine. Hey, man. So, okay, now the point is, this strategy that we have, we want to help that. Okay. In order to want to help that, you should be secure in who you are and what you're doing. You know what I mean? In other words, you should be a little confident. If you're not, don't you worry. Boss man gonna fix all of that. And what we're talking about, you're gonna be in or out. Boss man ain't gonna leave you hanging around on the edges and still thinking about it. I'm kind of no, I'm telling you. And what I'd like to say is, I'm only 76, but I have had and done just about literally everything that anybody, including white folks, have done in the world. And I always had it not to excess, but I had enough money to give money away and never went broke. And was in my 20s, so, and even now, we might be in the poorhouse, but the poorhouse looks different. Yeah.
I was looking at something Friday, and it dawned on me that in 1964, the U.S. declared the war on poverty.
That's right.
And then in 71, they officially declared the war on drugs.
Mm.
Now, your period was in between those two. And I thought about it. I
I was getting so much money that, see, you know where your blood circulates in you? I was getting so much money that I could feel the blood pumping. I mean, hey man, it's a little serious. You know what I mean? You can see why people go crazy. In fact, the bigger numbers, Hollywood, big heavy batters, people running why do they go? Why do the numbers of them go crazy? Because that's supposed to produce something and it don't. And they're delusion now. Why, I got everything, I did what they said. If I could run faster than anybody in the world, I'm going to be happy. I have the prettiest wife in town. And she's crazy. And everybody else around her is crazy. And I'm crazy because I'm not satisfied having the prettiest wife in town. And they told me that the prettiest, healthiest, nicest, smartest wife was going to make me happy. And I ain't happy. And that ain't me, that's them. They're looking in the wrong place. They're looking in the wrong place. So, remember, strategy, dangerous. Strategy is difficult. Strategy is doubtful because you're trying to bring up a new order of things. And the old order has momentum, it has its own rise and decline. Okay, we're trying to change the world and all the confusion of the world. Boss man is headed into he's in the midst of a heaviest decline he's ever even thought about. And he ain't even trying to slow down. Right? So that's it, man. Boss man, and then you read the scriptures and you be tripping, you be saying, every day you get up, you said, this is real. This is real. That's real. I mean, you know it's real. You just read it, you heard it, you see it, you smell it. This is real. But every day is the same. Man, this is a trip. This is real. And he ain't having yes to nothing. It's all no. I don't like it. I don't. And as far as doing harm to people, man, the way the people in the world talk about America, the wars they have done to people, the stuff this recent history, good God Almighty. Okay. So now here we are with this applied strategy, something that's unpredictable. Now imagine now, or what I just said here, strategy is unpredictable. But yet you're trying to predict something with strategy, with all of these forces pulling and pushing and circulating around, and you're trying to make sense of that. Since in a leadership position, you have to try to at least forecast some possibilities. What is reasonable? Now remember, you're running all of this through a psycho computer, and you got all of this historical stuff. You got all these possibilities. You got all of these realities around you. These people are really, really homeless. And they're throwing food away everywhere. They got to throw the food away because they got to keep the prices up. Hell, if you give it away, right? Then I used to see those movies about the Depression, and I would see them pouring out milk. I said, I thought it was a depression. And then the capitalists say, well, if we didn't pour the milk out, we wouldn't get any money for the milk. Starvation? That's the way it goes. You used to have a song, the white folks would sing, they'd come back from World War I. They said they built stairways and such, and they did this. But buddy, can you spare a dime? You ever hear that? Yeah, I can't get it right, but that's the whole idea. We did all of these things. Now, can you spare a dime? You know, the cup of coffee cost a nickel or a dime at that time. Can you spare a dime? They wasn't asking for $1 or $5 like they do now. They asked for a dime. Can you spare a dime? So I want to get a donut and a coffee. And I went over to World War I. I did this and I did that. And it's nothing, you know. That type of life, see, when they talk about survival of the fittest, that's amongst animals. That's a natural law so that they'll increase but that's not a law for human beings. Human beings have other laws that say, of course they didn't adopt it, but what I mean is they take care of the elderly and the young. In the environment out there, the animals, other animals, the lions and the tigers, if you're a little baby and you were just born, they eat you up. If you're too old to outrun, which they don't get that old, because as soon as you get a little animal arthritis, them other animals they eat you up. That's right. And then the monkeys and all them others, they fight each other for who's going to be the bull in the crowd. And they impregnate all the women except the monkeys is slick. When the big monkey go to sleep, them other little bitty monkeys, they go around and impregnate all the girls. You know, they do stuff. They monkeys, you know what I mean? It's a nigga, you ain't gonna get all these girls. So soon as he go to sleep, which he gotta go, they just waiting on him. Yeah, you big bad joker. Then they be knocking all the girls over. Then the girl monkeys, then after it's all over, they just say, I ain't did nothing. I don't know nothing. You know, you the baddest. You the man. Right? That's animal stuff, man. Human beings have charity. They have kindness. They have other things. And other societies had things that when you get older, you gain more respect, you know, in the East, the Orient. They used to even carry the ashes of their ancestors around, you know, because if you live so much time, you had to have some sense. And they went to them for advice because you've seen floods before. What do we usually do? Right? They don't do that stuff. You know, go to the crazy house or the old folks' home, or just sit there and watch TV. And they got a commercial they used to have. Sakina used to like it. I've fallen and I can't get up. You know, that right. But it's true. When you get real sick sometime and you actually can't get up. You know what I mean? You see what those people are talking about. And for a young person, it's funny. They used to, I've fallen and I can't get up. I said, you wait a while, you'll see what's going on. You know, but anyway, let me try to speed to applied strategy. Unpredictable, applied strategy. Unpredictable, yet you have to predict you're making a plan, right? The forces of history, how they interact, how they distort nature, you know what I mean? How all of these stuff come together. You got to make a decision about where you're going, and all this stuff is spinning around, right? And you got to figure out where you're going to go and what you're going to do with all of that. That's what all of what we did in the past, it came out. We're reading from stuff that's old, but the pattern don't leave. This is 2007. Strategic management under conditions of repression. That's 2008. That's back, but we've been in the management and stuff all since we've been writing this stuff, and we were in it before. But the principles are the same. Applied strategy, unpredictable, yet you have to predict your behavior. Focus. We have to have some focused behavior. So the focused behavior we'd have to have in this time is easy. Well, we'll fundraise, we'll go out, and we'll attract. And guess what? We got it good. Nobody wants the job we got. Go find, you think I'm lying? Go find somebody who want to do what we're talking about. I don't even hear them talking about it. Nobody wants the greatest job in the world, right? With the most blessings. They don't want that job. It don't look good to them. It's too much of a challenge, but this is what we have to have: applied strategy to predict, yet in an environment that's unpredictable, that have all the forces interacting with each other, distorting, you know what I mean, and altering the environmental circumstances, right? And what we live in. And we got to predict. We got to predict in that. And we are predicting. And we'll get into that in a minute. Human and non-human environmental interactions produce unpredictable reality, social, political, and economic. Yeah, we just talked about that. Unforeseeable forces. Things will come up, so what are we going to deal with these unforeseeable forces? Okay, how have we done so far? You have to have a self-analysis, and if you can get an analysis from others, but we depend on our own better than others. I would say we haven't done too bad with what we've been dealing with. Can you imagine surviving with the whole United States government, Zionists, Saudis, anybody you can name? Isna, Ikna, all of them is on that side. It doesn't make sense. They're all on that side. And you're over there. Hey, that's not bad. Just to stand up to that is good. It might get you into heaven if you stand up against all of that. But suppose you pull stuff off. Suppose you deal with your enemy and discombobulate them, throw them off and all that. See, here's the thing is, people like to be too scientific. And they do, like they have a thing in communism, they said, no investigation, no right to speak. If you don't which makes sense. If you don't investigate stuff, you don't have no right to present your idea before the board or before the party, which makes sense. No investigation, no right to speak. That's a saying that they have. So what they're saying is you don't investigate. I'm not saying that we do that, but we do some of it. We do what we study the whole world, and what makes sense is that we have come up with something that we rely on what Allah give us. Psychological discombobulation, all that coon stuff, that's what we do. And we study them according to what they say, according to what everybody say. We actually do analysis. It don't sound like it, like we talking, yeah, we gonna discombobulate, we made a fool out of all that. It don't sound like nothing, but when you study it, it means that we have followed literally every principle for success in our time and in our environment. We're more successful than everybody else. We're here. That's success. It don't make no difference. Well, boss man let you do that, but it's fine. If boss man let us do anything, that means we done waved at boss man at just the time when he needs somebody to wave at him. Because the Zionists don't play that we like you and you good nigga stuff. That ain't no. That's for boss man. This boss man here. You got two satanic forces. One is the Zionists. They're controlling America. And they have been controlling America. The other is internal boss man. He's easy because we've been with him all the time. And we know him very well. And we can fool him anytime we want. Or we can calm him down. I remember Abdul Malik was saying they was taking us to jail in Oakland for not having ID. We're going to go run. Just playing around. So he watched how I dealt with the police. Michael, my boy, what do you think about the RA? And he didn't. First of all, Abdul Malik was asking, why did you know he was Irish? I said, hell, his name is Michael, and, anything else? So he's probably Catholic, Irish, and so I can deal with him from that history. Michael, me boy, and it sounds like his grandfather talking to him. And so, you know what Abdul Malik said? He said, you can do what you want with these people, huh? That was then. That was still in the 80s. Might have been the early 90s. I think it was the end of yes, it was. I would say the end of the 80s. The point is this. We are where we are because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given us the ability to appreciate what we have and use it. Use what Allah gave us. Yeah, to use what Allah give you and with confidence. And evidently it's working. Okay, I'll speed up. We'll go by psychological guerrilla warfare. Strategic proficiency. Strategic proficiency is the ability to act on a grand. When you talk about strategic, this strategic, that usually deals with great armies, great industries, and great white folks. That's the talk they have. When you see Negroes, it's laughing and all that stuff, right? And empire, and niggas getting a lot of money, but it's fitna and foolishness. They don't show niggas, the black people, as super managers and organizers. And they used to have a program on called The Hawk. And it stayed on real short time. And Abdul Malik was talking, he said that it's too strong of a black figure. What was that in the 80s? It had to be in the 80s. It was probably in the 80s. Something like that. He was in D.C., yeah. Well, they saw it everywhere, I'm telling you. They don't show black as strategic managers, as organizers, and they don't show black people with the ability to resist anything. He can't resist girls. He can't resist anger. And if you mistreat him, he's going to be mad, right? When they have their heroes, their big heroes, they have the ability to control their anger and hatred, which they don't. Eventually it come out of them. But they don't give those type of characteristics to and they shouldn't. They're going to oppress us. They shouldn't show the people what they can do to beat the system. I believe that the common thing is the system is showing what it is. It is headed down so fast you can't get in front of it and stop it. What would it take to stop the slide in housing? It can't do it. It would mean more employment, right? It would mean a total revival. They can't do that because their money is becoming worthless and they gave all of this away. They got China, they got this, that, and other, and they don't have enough time and they don't have the heart to do it. Because the Congress and everything this is not the 30s when they had Roosevelt. It's rare that someone from amongst that class, which Roosevelt was from the rich class, to pull off that WPA and alphabet soup of programs. Yeah, the New Deal. It just made sense. We got to give people a New Deal. Well, he was still a human being. They don't make people like that anymore. They ain't even thinking about it. They got more money. The rich got more money now than they did then. Can you imagine it during the Depression, what they just had last year or this year? Bezos and them bums made so much money. And now I watch the people how they get stuff. All them big stores is closing. Did you see the mail trucks coming by? It's 4 or 5 a day. It used to be 1. And I watch my house. They don't shop anymore. They go, and it comes in the mail. I said, how can you want something every day? I don't say that to them because it's none of my business. How could you need something new twice a day, every day? You know, every day, all the time. How could you, just look in the little thing and say, I want one of those, send it here. And the stuff, you can't open nothing up without it falling out on you. I mean, big time. Okay, strategic proficiency. Strategy, it equals goal-directed decisions that you take into consideration your capabilities, your resources, matched with opportunities. You got to match this stuff about strategy. Hey, man, it's got to be serious. It ain't no joke. And anyway, we talked about muscle memory. Calculations, expectations based on our best estimation about the future. If you ask, when I used to ride on the white man's bus going to penitentiaries, they would always ask them, what's your ETA? When they're talking on the phone. Estimated time of arrival. So I said, ETA. So what's that? It's the estimated time of arrival. We're going to arrive. They giving the white man on the other end. We're on the bus all headed to another penitentiary. And they have one guy that they unloose from the handcuffs. He get to give everybody coffee. He go up to the pen and, so it's kind of Uncle Tom's job, and I would always try to get that job because, I done been on the bus so much. Other people don't know. All they do is get on the bus. And I know that, okay, on the bus, they're going to have one guy to handle all the business there, so he's not going to have to be handcuffed. He's going to be handcuffed with these right here, but he ain't going to be in leg irons and everything. And if somebody need a pencil, if somebody need anything, that's when they go on planes now. They don't go on, but that's when they used to be on the bus. So I'd always say, boss man, and that's where boss man come from. May I regress a minute? In California, coming up in the state prisons, you didn't have anybody even talk to the guards hardly. You know, it was them and us. Then when I went to McNeil Island, the federal prison, that's people from all over. And us from California, we had the same ideas about guards. Now, guards was dummies. They were double dippers, guys that had been in the Army for 25 years, and now they're going to work as a guard in a federal prison. They call them double dippers. They're going to get that retirement, and they're going to get this. For those dummies, that was a lot of money. They died with the money. They didn't do nothing with it. But anyway, so I used to, after I was there a while, I noticed all of the Southern Negroes had a way of getting everything they wanted, from the police. Boss man, and that was the key. Boss man, letting him know you in charge. And anything you feel gracious about letting poor old Negro have, it's because you're a good boss man. You're a good white man. And them niggas used to use that with so much effectiveness. That's where I got it from. Instead of dumb police, F you, man, them Southern Negroes, probably some of them was on the chain gang years ago and all that. Boss man, they had it, they would always, that's the main thing. Boss man, we need a little extra sugar over here, cause it, whatever you tell them. All right, Johnson, go ahead. And I said, God, I need two things, sprinkles of sugar. What's up, man? You can't have it. It wasn't color. So after a few years, I said, wait a minute. And then I thought back to my father, and I thought back to all of those old people from the South, the superior game they had. Make the white man feel good about himself. To help an old worthless nigga like me. You ain't losing nothing. And if it's something good, why, oh boss man, you fixing to get rid of that whole couch, that whole living room set, Lord have mercy. Oh, I ain't gonna say. Well, what is it? Well, we over there, we ain't got, well, that's all right. Well, hell, Mose, I'm getting this new thing. You can take this as a $10,000 living room set. Hell, take it on over there. Oh, boss man, I wouldn't want to go through all that trouble. Go on over there, Mose, man. Go on and take it. There ain't no problem. And you got the boss man had sat on it at least 3 or 4 times. And his wife, right? They don't even, and they got a whole new, and you got the whole new living room set, 10 grand. And it's just how you do it. I have a feeling that a lot of this longevity, it comes from messing around with boss man. I've said it before, but every time I get a feeling that boss man is getting tired of this and tired of that, oh, boss man, you wouldn't hurt the brother. We just playing. You think, it don't come out like that to you, but it comes out like that to him. Because I'm playing to him, not to you. You see what I mean? Yeah, I'm playing the boss man. Oh, boss man, shoot. You think psychological guerrilla war. Boss man, where's the nigga gonna come up with all of that? It takes sense to do that, boss man. You know ain't no nigga got boss man, I'm telling you. And they slow him down. The Zionists that don't work, the Zionists, F you niggas, I don't care what. You know what I mean? Like Palestinians, I don't care what. So we got something different for him. Listen to this very carefully. We have to get boss man's help because the Zionist is now oppressing the white man. So we got to form a union. Now, we talked years ago about in the FBI and in the others, they have let's say 10% of white folks believe in the Constitution and all that. It might be more, it might be 15. You never know, it could be up, it could be 20%. It could be a critical mass. But the white folks do not like when the Zionists can bring Coney before the committee, and the committee is controlled by Zionists, and everything they see, right? They see the Zionists. They don't like Obama, but they do not like. That's the president of our United States. You got to remember, our United States. And we're so great that we're giving a Negro a chance. We don't like the Zionists coming over here, speaking before the Congress and getting 25 standing ovations. They're counter-American, and they are using America against America. And the Zionists have made us go to war against, now they're talking about don't do this for Iran. They didn't had us go against Iraq. It was the Zionists, right? They didn't had us helping the Saudis, right, to go against Yemen. We stole part of Syria, the Golan Heights, but we wanted you to bomb them more. And we done got everything that's happening in the United States, in the Congress, all of that big stuff is managed by the Zionists to make America its footstool, and they are. Now, we need allies. Boss man. I'm talking about American boss man. Not the Zionist ain't going for it. He don't care. You'll goyim, he could care less. You know? How he feel about you is the same way, could you turn the heat off? Just the same way he feel about them Palestinians. Right? He beats them. It's not even, it's below human what he does to the brothers in Palestine, right? It's below human. It's not, it's unnecessary. It ain't, and he's not getting any better. He's doubling up on his worstness. It may not have made sense 10 years ago. Definitely didn't make sense 20 or 30 years ago. But what we have now, we've been planning for it from way back then, from I don't know when ago. Who's going to be our allies? Who's our enemies? It's simple. We have to neutralize the Zionist. That's the main enemy of humanity. And it always comes to that. That Zionist, he's got his finger on the button, and he's used everything against this weak-minded oppressor over here, right? Because remember, he's going to go along stage by stage. When he get control of the bank, when he get, like Rothschild said, let them write all the laws they want, right? Long as I control it, they could write anything they want, long as we control the bank. You see what I mean? Okay. To have confidence at a time like this would be good. Okay, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I think things are going to come out positive. We just time has to pass for us to do it. Because all the mistakes are made, everything is there. The Zionists have already screwed up, right? The Americans are already screwed up. Strategic alliances is not only Syria and Iraq and all of those people and Iran. Strategic cooperation is people that have something to gain. And they have to be guaranteed that if they cooperate with us, we cooperate with them, we will all get something for America that's recognizable. Let me go over this again. Everybody ain't going to get what they want. Boss man, FBI, all of them, sorry. The days of hanging niggas and running around, that's over. But that America the beautiful, that America how about the land of the free and the home of the brave? You got that. Long as your freedom and your braveness don't cause us to be effed up, we're not going to do that. We're not going to cooperate. And you can cooperate, stick with the Zionists. He done already screwed you bad. He got his things sticking in your ears and your body parts. That Zionist is so mean, he would almost be considered non-human. Because his policies, if you look at his policies, when it says the Goyim is one of y'all, 1,000 of y'all worth one of us, they actualize that. Remember, they are not the religious personalities. The religious personalities on the surface will be our allies too. Why? Because and you could see it in play. We're doing it already. The Yahud, they say, and according to the Quran, with Yahud, Nasara, Sabiqun, all that, any who believe in Allah in the last day will have a reward from his Lord, and no fear will come upon him, nor shall they grieve. So when we see certain people, hey, how you doing? What do they say to us? Hey, this is our friend. And then think of it, he got all his young friends lined up. What do they say? This is our friend, right? Hey, somebody's thinking. I'm just telling you, this stuff is real. And the mean old white man cannot outthink the Negro, because the mean old white man haven't been under the same type of pressure. That's the way it go. If you're under the most pressure, you develop the most, all the characteristics that it takes to do it. Okay. And the main thing, eventually, the ones that can assist on a certain level. Remember, out of all the spokes in the wheel, there's a lot of things that are necessary for it to work that would be good for it to work. We want our process to work with less. We want the less amount of lives, the less amount of property, and we want to see a world where it has a modest population, not people just running all over, you know what I mean? A modest population, maybe cut it down to 4 billion people or something instead of 7 or 8. It's better to have 4 billion people than 8 and you got a bad life. You know what I mean, right? If what I mean is, not the Nazi thing. We're going to get rid of all of y'all. Not that, but learn to what is the level of life on earth that can be sustainable and harmonious, right? That you figure that out yourself. Everybody figures it out, you know. They figure it out themselves. It ain't nobody figuring it out for you, you know. Okay. People need to be trained. So you have Chinamans, they have 1.4 billion people saying, oh, we don't have enough people, we're going to have to get, that's not true. That's because of the people are getting old and they had a policy that worked perfectly for them before. So that means India and China. I don't want to get off into the woods, but we need a better world. The Negroes will underestimate us because, well, it's not that, okay. No, it's not a big deal. They don't think, they think, okay. As you can hear, somebody has been thinking about all of this. I mean, and it can't be a week or two. They've been thinking about it a long time ahead. And the percentages they use, if you heard them 20, 30 years ago, they might have been circling around since before then. But let me just go to the close here. Why is strategic management important? Islamic organizations of all types and sizes continually face new and changing situations. Being able to cope with constant destabilizing, destructive, and diversionary tactics mean that any Islamic organization that wants to survive and thrive in this hostile, anti-Islamic environment must operate on the highest level of strategic proficiency. Anybody want to survive? This is 2008. Anybody want to be around? They believe in longevity and all that. And they know what part longevity, and they know how to use longevity. And they know how to rest too. Longevity, you're just going to swim across the English Channel. You have to tread water sometime. Why? To get your bearing, right? You buy the boat that's treading water. You have to be able to, you want to readjust your thinking, and right? You can't get out of the water, but you're just treading water because it's a long distance swim. You can't make a long distance swim. I'm just going to do this all day. You got to tread water to give your mind time to refocus and where we are, how are we feeling, and how's everything else. Okay. There is a structured, systematic approach that is needed to cope with the uncertain environments and situations clearly faced today by the Islamic movement. Strategic management process is such that it forces Islamic workers and Muslims in administrative positions to examine all the important aspects of a situation before determining the most suitable decisions and actions. Recent studies clearly indicate that organizations which collected information, used analytical techniques, made more effective strategic decisions than those did not. Well, let's just try to look around and find out, is there any other Islamic organization that's really on the move other than us? Or is still even thinking about anything? Okay. Right. I'll skip all of that and some benefits of strategic management or definition of strategy. The term strategy has been defined in a variety of ways. Past descriptions include strategy as integrated decisions, actions, or plans designed to set and achieve organizational goals. We define strategy as goal-directed decisions and actions by which capabilities and resources of the Islamic movement are matched with opportunities. They're matched with opportunities, threats in its environment. They are essential parts of this definition. So, definition of strategic management, we didn't went through that before. Situational analysis, right? Strategy formulation, strategy implementation, evaluation and control. We're passing through evaluation and control. So none of these are like you go to bed one day and you're in one stage and you wake up the next in another. For it to be real, you just kind of, we are really, I believe we're mashing together in an excellent way. Moving from where we were to where we need to be. Stage one in this process means that when stage one is semi-finished, we will be fully functional as an organization. We will have re-implemented the things that we're doing here. We'll be far ahead here. We will have reorganized Oakland. Let's say within a year, we plan to have passed through this evaluation and control stage. Evaluation and control. Evaluating where we are, where we wanted to go. Where are we and according to where we wanted to be originally? Right? Where are we in compared to when we were writing all this stuff? Where are we? What have we done? We talked about these days David and Goliath and his forces and all of that, right? That's what we were talking about during this period for certain reasons. Discombobulation, recombobulation, da 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 da. Where are we now? I would say not bad. Not bad at all. And we're thankful to be here. Let me just mention a few things, calculations. I remember it was on 98th Avenue. We was coming over a ramp. You know, like there's a freeway down here, and then there's a ramp that goes over it. That's 98th Avenue. And we driving one of these big, bad Cadillacs, all the chrome on it and everything. And of course, I'm driving, and a Volkswagen zips up, and that, you know, when you're young, you're full of juice to make all those. But guess what? We got stuck right there. There's a fire plug right here, and there's a VW right there. You know what my friend Doc told me? He said, man, that fire plug looked like it was in the front seat with us. What did I do? I avoided the fire plug, and I hit the Volkswagen. Hit the fender of it, spin it around, got out and gave the guy $200. That time was a long time. Said, hey, take care of your stuff. And I took my car to the shop later to get the fender fixed. And then from that time, my homeboy, who was the second in command already, he had He had came from L.A. He had got a counterfeit case. I don't know if I mentioned that before. And he was there. "Ah, that's nice." And, but from then on, he had trust in my ability to make decisions. Because in a life decision, it's not a time to think about it. Fire plug, kill us both, automatically. So he knew that whatever we got into, whatever decision I made, it would be better for us because it's automatic. It ain't, don't have no thing. We're going to study fire plugs, Volkswagens, motion of the car, weight of the car. Of course, we know that big old Cadillac hit that little Volkswagen. Actually, it just spinning around, and we hit the back fender. But from then on, he knew that event right there changed his behavior about. He went on to the penitentiary, in the federal penitentiary, for counterfeit. And the stuff that we went through after that, I'll just tell you one. Los Banos. I-5 was, when they first built it, they hadn't went all the way to, I-5 cut off at 152, where Highway 99 is the old Highway 1. Like Highway 1, go from Florida all the way up to Canada. This is right along 95. Anywhere you turn off 90, you'll see signs all along 95. It says Highway 1. Highway 1, I don't care how far south you go. 99 is like that in California. 99 is the old interstate highway. And I-5, they both go to the same place from Canada to Mexico. Okay, so when we come out of Oakland, we used to go zoop, 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 and we'd get part of it on I-5. And then we'd have to go over to 99. When you go over to 99, there was a little place called Los Banos. And we come through Los Banos, and before we got there, we stopped into the Shell station and filled up with gasoline. Under the mac rest, the armrest, we had a pistol, and we were snorting cocaine. It must have been just all over. When you really get to blowing, and the guy in the thing, he looked under there and saw a pistol. So for a white boy seeing a pistol in those days, that means these niggas, the money they got, and the car they drive, and they're robbers. And all white folks thought like that in those days. So we got back in the car, and before we got into town, it's like a sheriff's posse. They don't have those anymore. But this is a posse. And the posse stop us, arrest us. And I said to them, "I want to see a judge." You know what the white man said? "I am the judge." Then they looked at these stretch marks, and you know what them crackers said? They thought they was tracks. And me and my friend was saying, "My God, we're goners, man. We're out here in these Pecker woods. We out here in the woods, you know what I mean, in Los Banos." And they done looked at these stretch marks. They on both arms, stretch marks. And they said, the niggas, they looked at each other. Heroin addicts. They thought they was tracks. Then we went down to the jail, and there was a guy in there that we hadn't seen in years. His name was Bug Simpson. And man, y'all here, yeah, it is Merced County. And then those days, now there's a lot of blacks out there. In those days, there wasn't none. So and we walked free. How did? 2 days, my lawyer came down. Now, some kind of way I had bought some weed from some white boys, and I looked at them. This is where God be protecting you. And one white boy said to the other, I told you so. In other words, one white boy was telling another one, this guy don't know anything about marijuana. Of course, I'm the biggest marijuana dealer. But some kind of way they brought me, these were bushes. And I looked at it. It was just a couple of kilos. I just said, okay. And then he told the other one, I told you so. In other words, I told you this nigga will buy anything. He don't know marijuana from bushes. These were real bushes. But this is how God worked. God know he going to have you doing something down the way. They tested the cocaine for heroin. They're totally different things. So guess what? My lawyer came down and he talked. Now imagine now, we in Cadillacs, my lawyer's in Cadillacs, my family didn't come down. My wife didn't come down to see how things are doing. And all they see is Cadillacs. These white folks is, Anyway. So, guess what? They checked the cocaine for heroin. And it come back, it ain't heroin. Whatever it is, it's just white powder. They ain't never thought. Or it would be too late to write it cocaine. Oh, this is cocaine, because they didn't wrote 11,500. They didn't wrote heroin. In court, we could beat it if they changed it. They said da. The stuff we was smoking, we was high as a kite, but it wasn't marijuana. The test came back, it ain't marijuana. So my lawyer says to me, what did y'all buy, bunk? I said, man, we got out of that penitentiary free of charge. That's the only time we ever was busted. We call it cold duck. The niggas was busted. They had probable cause. They had everything, right? And we walked out of that country penitentiary. We walked out of that jail, and we looked at each other, and we was believers now, boy. Look at here. Hey, man, whatever it is something going on bigger than us. Now, I told you that to say that before getting here, that was those two incidents. Both of them was with a certain friend. He passed away years ago. But in each case, it was an event. That event that happened then, I would still be in prison now, almost, for that thing. And that happened almost 50 years ago. Out in that country town and that stuff, them white folks would have had me in the penitentiary and us in the penitentiary up till last week. For that. Those mean heroin dealers, they sell heroin to destroy. You know the way they used to do the news in them days. Now the white man is a dope. They don't say nothing. Oh, a little Oxycontin, a little bit of this, not good, but we'll live through it. We'll do something. But when we was handling it, right, you thought it was Colossus or, somebody that was doing it, right? These people are dirty. So anyway, I just mentioned those things. Number one, going over that ramp and seeing, my partner said that fire plug looked like it was in the car. That's how close it was. And I zipped and hit the Volkswagen, got out and gave the guy $200. He was happy. It was the Negro guy. He was happy. It was Brookfield Village where we live, around anyway. So he was happy. $200 in them days, hell, the car wasn't worth too much. Cars didn't cost much money then. I mean, he could get a house fixed for $200, $300, cash money on the thing, and the fender is just bent. He get the fender fixed for $25. Shoot, he off and rolling. Hey, come and hit me again, bro. Want to rerun that again? That on the other side, except this time we turn on the other side. Anyway, those events showed two things. The car meant that, to me, that I'm capable in a pinch, I'm going to make the right decision. If it's too bad alternatives, don't worry. That nigga going to make the right. He's going to make the one that get us. We're going to lose an arm, a leg, and a back. We're going to lose just a hand because he's going to make the right decision. And so my partner that came down to put me in jail, he flipped and he went on to jail. And, that's the way I looked at it. And then, especially when we was in the penitentiary, when we was in jail, you could imagine niggas out in the woods, out, like say you out in Mississippi jail, the county sheriff is spitting tobacco, that type of stuff. And use a city slicker Negro sharp as a tack. And you say, I want to see a judge. And this boy with cowboy boots on, and he got carrying you think I'm lying. You remember them, no, rifles, the Winchesters, 30-30 Winchester. I mean, that the cowboy had on the side of it. These was those crackers. This is 50-something years ago. Maybe if it was back then when they still used that stuff. And these crackers got cowboy boots on. And I said to American lady, I want to see a judge. When we at the hotel, he said, I'm the judge. And we looked at each other. We said, well, look like, hey, man. We was just quiet for a while. But that was good. That was good. We got out of that. We got out of all other stuff. So it had to be something, in there for us, And no matter who's here, I'm going to try to take it all away. I guess that's about enough for now on strategy and strategic management and on where we are now. I don't have time to go through, or I won't go through, all the stuff that we're going to be dealing with, but the 21st is tomorrow, right? So I think we should make a new flyer, which we won't need tomorrow. We'll need that a few days later. But a new CD. If we could come tomorrow instead of Tuesday, we'll make a new CD. We'll pass out the CDs we got, but we're going to make an appropriate CD, a DVD, dealing with kind of where we want to go. The other one was a rush job, and so that's what we'll do tomorrow, inshallah. Huh?
5 p.m. is good for me.
Okay, 5 p.m. is perfect. That'll give us all the time to get it together and everything. But we're going to do, that'll be a new DVD, and we're going to do another flyer. I'll probably give you the outline for both of them at that time. Because the one we're going to pass out this week, we'll do on Thursday night at IAC. See, we want to go out to IAC this week on Thursday. Then we'll go out next week after we done passed out that flyer. And I don't think we'll take boxes out the first this Thursday. But the next Friday, we'll take boxes with us. But this Friday, wherever we go, we'll take boxes wherever we go. Even we'll go back out there because I looked at the things and the gypsies was there and everybody, and they saw us and we broke their stride. We're going back out there and the attitude will be, you can't, these are gypsies. You know, they don't go into no program. They might walk in, look in, and okay. The next thing is January the 2nd. We'll have dinner. We'll have a couple of turkeys. We'll have rolls, dressing, mashed potatoes, and salad, something like that. That's for the program on the 2nd. On the 30th, this is long range, but after that, we're going to have all that period between the 2nd, or say from the 4th, up to January the 30th to remember as we move along, we're going to get finer tuned and all of that. So the program between that we're passing out the flyers between January the 4th and the 30th will be more sophisticated and what have you. Okay, so let me move on. I was just mentioning those things, and I don't think struggle is the promised land. We'll talk about that later. Systematic preparation for liberation later. Masjid al-Islam strikes back. That's a new Masjid al-Islam strikes back. But in closing, dear believers, it's an honor, it's a privilege to do what we're doing. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I thank Allah for being a part of it. And I actually think some kind of stuff that's a little, you call it funny as whatever you want. I think if we're not successful, a lot of things won't be successful. Because actually, I don't hear nobody. So this stage will take us boom, boom, boom. And whenever we wrap this up, or whenever it is, we're going to be way out there. It's going to be fully publicized, politicized. It'll be multifaceted, organized, multi-peopled. Because the way I look at it, that we had to take the time to go through the process to make sure we're prepared internally and externally. And I think all of those things like assaults and all of that and being isolated from everybody for years was to test us if we're serious about what we're doing. That's what I think. And also to learn the lesson about how you respond to your people. Brother Tufel and I used to talk about it a lot, but it was like when we responded the way we responded to the assault that we had in Oakland, that was a good sign that we on a roll, that we're ready to put up with whatever dumb stuff happened doing this. Because a lot of it is going to just say, this is going to be strange, but not difficult. I don't think it's going to be hard. I think we're going to pull right through it. That's the way it sounds. But for everybody else, I believe everybody going to be tripping. You You know what I mean? Not tripping like bad, but like tripping like, yeah, like that. You know, Abdul Haq and I used to talk about, what did we used to call it? The I'll be damn effect. I'll be damned. They actually, now imagine we talking about George Bush, we talking about all the world things of that time, which wasn't that long ago. And all we could say every time we talk, I'll be damned, they did it. We talked about that 6 months, and I'll be damned. That's the way this is now. There's not much else they can do in foolishness, you know. But if they can find something to do, they're gonna rake it up. Are there any questions or comments about anything?
Did you hear the news that some Muslim nations are going to assist the Afghanis with food and the things that they need?
We heard that, and that's good. That we heard that, and that we also realized that they made some good strategic decisions amongst themselves not to get anybody drug into it. Example, Iran to get drug into it. But I want everybody to think about this, that the United States was in their country for 20 years, messed up their whole life, and pack up and leave and see that they broke and starving to death. You got to think about that. They are there, the children with their mouths hanging out now, right this minute. They said, we ain't gonna help.
They're withholding their funds, actually.
That's what I mean, is they're withholding their funds.
Giving them their money.
Yeah. So we don't have to explain all the stuff, the little temporary stuff, or how the Saudis are, who the Arabs are, who they are. Look, there's a few people in this, and we with them. And there's a few people, the strategic alliance and all of that, they're who they are. The Saudis that join with the Zionists and all those other handkerchief-headed Arabs that have joined, that's what needed to happen. They do it in front of the Palestinians, with the Zionists murdering the Palestinians more than they ever have. So when we talk, we'll talk about little things like that, but they're not made up, and they all see them. Those are the points we'll be making. Okay? So the Muslims, if they continue to behave like they do when we go out and around, they look like there's nothing happening in the world.
That was a comment on Facebook. I saw a sister commented on on one of the videos that we put up from Friday. You ever seen that movie? I See Dead People. There's a Sixth Sense, where this kid got superpowers. There's this scene in the movie where he says, "I see dead people." This sister commented on the video saying, "I see dead people," because the people were just walking by, just kind of milling by, and stuff like that.
No, this is our time, and look, what we're doing is incumbent upon us as Muslims. It's not we're doing anything extra, right? We're not doing anybody a favor. This is the other people. I don't know what they're doing, but maybe they got the extra Quran. Maybe they got Noble Drew Ali's Quran with the sevens and the stuff on there, I don't know. But they can, anyway, we don't have nothing to argue with them about. If y'all don't want to do it, that's not, here's what we're saying. That's why we we're happy that we're doing what we're doing, and we have always been doing what we've been doing. Are there any more questions or comments?
There were a couple people that did reach out. There's a person named Marlon Robinson. He said he was just giving you the salams. I gave you your phone number.
Okay. Right.
Another brother named Abdul Rob. That's his name on Facebook. So I just told him, gave you your contact information.
Okay.
Inshallah, they'll reach out. There's also another person just reached out to Joel Small. I'll give him your contact information.
Okay.
I told him to call the next couple hours or so.
Sure. Are there any more comments about anything or any more?
Nothing on social media. I guess, well, I'll ask you.
Okay.